The Biometric Scanner in Dungeon Defenders 2 is one of the newest super hot items added into the game, and arguably one of the most powerful things to be added into the game in quite some time. It is an absolute powerhouse of a support defense, giving crowd control potentials, storm damage, even though it's not showing as storm on the defense, and a slow. In addition to that, there is also an armor stripping damage debuff put on enemies, making them take increased damage. You combine all these things together and you've got just a support defense that you want to use pretty much on every map you're doing. There's nothing wrong with adding in a biometric scanner. Now, there's two different ways I normally use mine. As I mentioned, it is storm damage, so if you combine that with water damage, you get the electrocute combo. So one thing I like to do is something like that, using a water aura and a biometric scanner. And I'm going to get the slow from the biometric scanner. I'm getting the electrocute combo. And this is how I use this defense most of the time. In this particular setup, I've got defense rate, tenacity, and defense range. In addition to that, we got a defense range godly roll, and we're going with deadly strikes, chilling pulse, and enhanced scan. Enhanced scan is absolutely crazy. It takes you up to 58% armor stripping, which is just ridiculously good and hard to pass up. Chilling pulse is going to give you a slow in the mix, which is quite nice. And then Deadly Strikes does scale better with Vicious Strikes on this defense, so you're going to want to use Deadly over Vicious. So that is my normal setup. With the anti-heal, I would have Deadly Strikes. I just got Destruction on there, however, Vicious is a fine choice. And Defense Rate, along with Defense Rate, Anti-Heal, and Tenacity. Now, this is just a generic setup here. I can use it in pretty much any situation in the game. We've got Tenacity. Additionally, we're completely overcapped beyond the point of needing to be overcapped, and this is just kind of a general use setup. Once again, the Water Aura, just like the Biometric Scanner, is not a wonderful damaging defense, so even having Destruction in there is kind of a joke. And you could go with Vicious and get yourself up to that range cap pretty quickly. Now, there are two different situations how I like to use my biometric scanner. Exactly like this, or without the water aura. Now, if I'm not using the water aura, of course I don't have that anti-heal, so what do I want to do then? Well, when you make a relic, y'all, it's not stuck in slot. You can pick that bad boy up and move it. So, generally, if I don't want to use the anti-heal, then what I will do is I will bring my water aura relic over. Just slap that one in there for safekeeping. Throw that in the biometric scanner, and now I've got tenacity, defense rate, and an anti-heal. We got the value of anti-heal without worrying about using, two different defenses. Now, that is not the typical way that I use it. Like I said, the most common way I use it is with the water aura, so I would want to keep it just like I had it originally. So with this in mind, what if you don't want to use the water aura, but you want to use the electrocute combo still? Well, you could get rid of either Chilling Pulse, or what I would probably do is get rid of Deadly Strikes and throw in the Water Elemental, and then we're going to get Drench from this defense. We're still getting the storm damage, so we can self-proc the electrocute combo. Now, in most cases, like I said, I like to use both of those defenses, so I very rarely am going to do that, but that is an option. Now, in addition to that, what if you are playing in Onslaught and you've got to worry about overcapping your defense for any frost enemies? Well, one thing about frost enemies is they are immune to slow. So with that in mind, there's no point in having Chilling Pulse. You can just pop that out of there, and you can throw in a defense rate, and now you are past the overcap point and completely immune to any slow from Frost Orcs, and you don't have to worry about those anymore as well. So 2 different ways to set up your biometric scanner. I know people will want to use it as a damaging defense. I personally don't feel like there's a whole lot of value in setting it up for damage, as it's just going to be outclassed by other defenses. And if you set this up as full utility, you are definitely going to get your money's worth out of this one, no doubt. So just a couple of different biometric scanner builds that I like to use. This is my normal go-to. Range with a godly roll, rate, tenacity, and range, with deadly strikes, chilling pulse, and enhanced scan. Or I'll swap on over to my water aura relic and get that anti-heal in there as well. I debated on setting it up with 2 different ways, in, not having to swap relics around. And I do have the luxury of having an extra, I got an extra tenacity, and I think I got an extra anti-heal laying around in here somewhere. So I could always do that. However, it would be probably a duplicate of the same relic. If I was going to set this up with anti-heal, I would probably go without range and use that exact same relic. So I would then have 2 duplicates of the same thing that I am really probably never going to use at the same time, and can just swap the relic around as I see fit. So use the biometric scanner, y'all. A lot of people are all excited about the plasma defense system, and myself included. It is no doubt an absolute badass and a shredding. But if you really want your plasma defense system to shine, then give it a biometric scanner, because it's just too good. Takes your plasma defense systems up to the next level for sure, and just becomes an absolute powerhouse. But that will get it for now. That is the biometric scanner and how I use it. Let me know how you use it down in the comments below. And as always, thanks an absolute ton for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you soon.